Thank you, Mr. Sapuni. My name is Japheth Kimutai, former 800 meters Commonwealth champion, and that I never knew I was going to be an athlete. But it happens that someone spotted my talent long time ago, and he saw something in me, and that is how that's how everything started actually. Otherwise, if it was not for him, maybe I don't know what would I be doing now. 78 in a village called Lelmokwa. Lelmokwa is roughly 30 kilometers away from this town, and that is where I went schooling. After which I proceeded on. I went to Lelmokwa High School, but because of some technical issues back in our village, back in our family, we never had anything. And my father was employed as a watchman in order for him to pay for my school fees. At some point, I was crying to myself that, why should my father be a watchman? Every other time I pass by, he's the one opening ticket for me. So I felt it wasn't the right thing, but kumbe there was someone who had already saw my potential in athletics. And I was called to a school in Elgeyo Marakwet, and that is St. Patrick's. That is where I met Brother Colm, and we talked and we agreed that he was going to take me. And of course, if I talk of Brother Colm, when I was in primary school, that is where quite a number of talent identification was being done, and I never knew there was anything or people going around looking for talented athletes in lower primary, or rather in primary school. So that is where Brother Colm saw a talent in me, and he had been looking for me. Within those periods of December 1993, he was looking for me, but again I never knew, But I was running in primary, not that well, but again, I managed to be in the national primary championships. I think it is funny because when I first started, I was running 10,000 meters, 5,000 meters, all the way to 100 meters. But I'm telling you, when you are a kid, you don't know what to do. You can do anything. You can decide to play football. You can decide to play volleyball. Anything that comes up, and running 10,000, running 5,000, running 100 meters, and all what the teachers were doing was for me to collect the points for the school. That's the thing. And when I proceeded on to the district level, by then I managed to secure a place for myself in 800 meters, and I realized people saw, there's talent in this guy, and every other person wanted me, like Lelmokwa High School wanted me, Koserai wanted, not Koserai, but there's a school in those areas, they wanted me, Kabiyet wanted me, but because there was nobody to help me pay the school fees, is when my father was employed at a nearby school, Lelmokwa High School, in order for me to continue with my education there. So when I realized that that was the plan, when I realized that was the plan, and I didn't feel comfortable with it, but I had to run out of school, run away from school, that is. I could mess, he could kill me there. You know, my father was tough.
Uh-huh.
You know, he was a tough guy, and I just decided to, you know, go look for a school somewhere, and I decided to go to St. Patrick's. When I was at St. Patrick's, it happened that my name was there. I mean, teachers were looking for me in everywhere, and they could not trace me where I was. Place where I was. I mean, I went to Lelmoko for less than a month. That is, to be specific, I think 3 weeks. When I realized that my father was employed in order for him to pay, you know, his salaries would go to school, he was going home empty-handed, you know. Why didn't I wanted him to enjoy his life and you know, earn his salary and, you know, do whatever he wants to do. But when I went to St. Patrick's, I managed to, you know, to get my name there as one of the potential athletes that I had already been identified. So, and I was welcome without even paying a single cent, without even having a school uniform, without even having any kind of shopping. So, can you imagine that? Some results in one of the primary championships where we were running, and you know, he kept on looking at me, he kept on watching me, he kept on trying to trace me. But of course, being a young boy from a village, you could not even face a white man. You know, a problem. You know, even, you know, sitting down with him. But as time goes, you know, we get to know all these things, and we got on well with him after a very short time. I mean, the first term from 1994 is when I went in. I told you I went to Lelmoko for only less than 3 weeks, and funny enough, there was a strike in Lelmoko, and after the strike, you know, Form 4s, whatever, you know, they did a strike, and I realized that it wasn't good, you know, for such a thing. You know, being to school, being to high school, being to a boarding school, I've never slept out of my village. Back in my village, I had never gone anywhere. But, you know, going to high school, being in a boarding school, you know, students striking, and you feel uncomfortable. So I decided, even if it was not St. Patrick's, I would not have gone back to Lelmoko High School. Reason being, you know, after we were marched all the way to Kapsabet, we did a parade in DC Sobis, and one of the village elders saw me in one of the lines, and he said, "This is the guy from the village. He is leading a strike." But a foreman, how could a foreman lead a strike? I mean, for sure, you know. So I got discouraged, and I decided to get away from Lelmoko generally, and look for my own school where I could identify myself with, and people who could respect, people who could listen to me, people who could help me, and that was St. Patrick's, you know. And when I went to St. Patrick's, my life changed completely. One, I got good people there. I got good teachers. I got mentors. I got runners from the school, and they all encouraged me. You know, imagine someone, you know, coming up, giving me a trouser, someone coming up, giving me a sweater, someone, you know, turns up, gives, because I never had anything to do the shopping. I was well taken care, We went to class, we went to games, and it was a change of actually. It was a change of events, and everything went on. You know, being in St. Patrick's was something I never imagined I would. But luckily enough, as I told you, I found my name there. And when people realized that I was an athlete, especially the teachers, my classmates, they took care of me in a special way. They could not even, went behind my back and talk bad things about me. But I remember one specific teacher who was teaching us math. And though I was very poor in math, he kept on encouraging me. May his soul rest in peace. Anyway, he passed on like a year ago. Actually, a year ago, he passed on. And he was called Mr. Serem. He was a great teacher. To me, he was a great teacher. And because I would, imagine someone from a village, who went all the way to high school, a very high standard school. And imagine all the other students, they pass extremely well to be to be in that school. But I was encouraged, I was never moralized. Iten, Mr. Iten was a geography teacher, and at the same time, doubling up as a chemist teacher. So every other time we could go out together, we could, give us directions and so on and so forth. Now that I got a lot of encouragement from my classmates, and I can tell you up to now, we still keep in touch with the 97 class. It is a unique class in a way, and we keep on chatting every other time. And they are so happy. They were happy. They're still happy, and they wherever they are, if I met someone who is getting older than me, and I mentioned my name, if they could easily, they will always recognize me. But having said that, general life at high school was not that easy. There were guys who could go to class, sit for exam, smashes everything, and you could see some people, getting presents and so on and so forth. But for me, I actually promised that I should get out of this place a better man and a better, I would go out of this place a better place than I found it. Now that there was games coming up, training was going on well, and we when the time for competition came up, we were there at St. Patrick's, and I remember we had like 4 other guys from my class who were also athletes. One guy who was the first one to run cross country, and that was Charles Kwambai. And the other one was Joanna Chemweno. The other one was Peter Serem. They were all from Elgeyo Marakwet. I was the only one outside Elgeyo Marakwet in that case. And they ran pretty well. They went to Durban, I remember, to South Africa. He was running cross country, I think like 8K. He came home, I think he got a bronze or something, and we were all celebrating. We were all celebrating. It raises the bar. It raised the bar that I don't know whether I was going to match him, but I was lucky. Like my life has been a lucky one. In that when the track and field came, we were there, and I had already identified my event as an 800 I mean, I identified myself as an 800 meters runner. So we started from the district all the way, we went all the way to the national. I won all